In this video, I want to talk about a couple of things. The game I'm about to show you was played in an over-the-board tournament at the Marshall Chess Club. The main theme I want to talk about is material versus activity, but there's a couple other things I want to brush up on. So anyway, let's dive in and let's take a look. So in this game, as I said before, this game is played at the Marshall Chess Club. Every Thursday night I try to play, and there's 4 games in one night with 25-minute time controls. My opponent played the caro-kann. Now, my opponent's rated about 1,400. However, he's not 1,400. He's better than 1,400. So in this game, he played the caro-kann. A lot of people are playing the caro-kann, actually, because of Gotham Chess, which is very cool. But I think the caro-kann has become way too overrated because of that. It has some merit, no doubt. It's not very theoretical. It's good for beginners and intermediates alike. However, it's not the best, I don't think. Anyway, I played my opponent actually 2 weeks prior to this, and the same position arose down the road, which I'm about to discuss. So in the caro-kann, after knight f6, this is we take, and now black has a choice. They can take with the g-pawn and play the Bronstein-Larsen variation, or they can play the Tarka Tower, which is the main way to play. So black takes, and now my strategy against this is to castle queenside and just line up my pieces in this direction, which I'm about to show you. So bishop d3, my opponent castles, queen c2, immediately hitting this pawn. Now, like I said before, I played my opponent 2 weeks ago, and I won that game as well, and he played h5, and he played h5 this game. So far, this game is going on the same way as the game happened 2 weeks ago. My opponent was playing well in the game 2 weeks ago, and then blundered his queen and lost the game. So instead of veering off in a different way, I wanted to revisit that game again and give him a second chance. It's kind of like when you're watching a good movie and someone just interrupts it and you don't get a chance to watch it again. I was interested in that game. It was a good game 2 weeks ago that we played, and I wanted to see what would happen if he didn't blunder. So I kept on playing the same moves. Instead of veering off and playing something different, I played into his game because I wanted to see how what was his plan in the first game, because he blundered, so it wasn't really a good game. Okay, my opponent played bishop e6. Again, this is the same. I'm going to show you where the game veers off from the first game we played. I played b3 because my opponent was attacking a2. My opponent plays knight a6. Okay, the idea is to come knight c7 and here, most likely. I play knight f3, develop my pieces, and he's developing. I play h3. We have an even game here. My opponent plays knight c7, coming into d5, so I stop him with c4. My opponent comes to a6 now, so he's going back and forth, just creating weaknesses in my kingside. Very nice, kind of like throwing jabs at me and trying to find weaknesses in my position. Not very 1400-esque, but I do have a video that goes over this, how USCF ratings are super deflated now with the advent of online chess and chess.com, because so many players are playing, at 17, 18, 1900 level, but their ratings over the board have not caught up to that yet. Okay, so I play bishop d2 here, just trying to cover up the dark squares. He correctly plays bishop b4, and we go for I go for g4, which isn't the best. I tried to open up the g file and attack his king here. He goes with rook e7. Not so sure about that move. I take and play queen d2. And now I should have saw something. He's protecting his queen. I underestimated this move, and I just played g takes h5, which is actually losing here. Actually, let me just go before a couple moves back. In the game we played 2 weeks prior to this, my opponent played knight takes d3 and lost his queen. So that was very unfortunate. So that's why in this game, I wanted to give him a second chance. I wanted to see what his idea was, and I wanted to I wanted to revisit that first game and, pretty much play it out and see what would happen if he didn't blunder. So anyway, he plays much better. He plays b6 here. He does not blunder his queen, which is good. I actually blunder and play g takes h5. Now, he should just take my bishop, or actually play f5 here. Bishop f5. Bishop f5 is a really good move. If I take his bishop, he takes back, check, and wins my knight. That's really cool. There's nothing much I can do, too. He's attacking my bishop twice. My best move is actually to play bishop f5. I really have nothing else going for me. This is I can't move my bishop away because it's pinned to the king. That's just a winning move right there that he missed. So instead, he played rook d7, lining up the rooks on my pawn, way too slow. Now I saw this idea, and bishop f5 idea. So now I try to get my king out of the way. I was thinking maybe that would help. It does, but he's still better here, much better. So again, he doesn't find the right move. He had to take the pawn here. He plays queen takes h5. I bring my bishop back. The point why I brought my bishop back here is I'm setting up a discovery on his queen. And now I'm also giving more defense to my pawn if I need be. But the whole idea was for him to move his queen again, because with this discovery, he has to move his queen away because I'm going to have some possible tactical shots at his queen. So he moved his queen back to where it originally was. Very calm and poised, my opponent is. Just going back and forth, just constantly weakening my position slightly, playing very well for his rating, I believe. So I play queen b2 here. Now, the point behind queen b2 is to get off this light diagonal that's very strong. He has a bishop here. And also, at some point, I might want to push and have an attack on the king to supplement this attack with the open g file that I want to deploy. So my opponent here played bishop f5, just taking over the big open diagonal here. And not only that, but he has some serious threats. First of all, if I ever move my queen out of the way, I'm getting checkmated, which is not cool. Not cool for me, cool for him. Now, also, he has this check. That's what he's setting up here. So this check, if I don't, do anything to defend it, that's not good because really the only move I have is this. And now we have a lot of things going on here. This is not good. This is just absolutely losing. I'm pretty much can resign the game. That's GG. So I have to defend this. So I chose to defend with rook d2. Rook d2 here. Now, the point is why I chose rook d2 is I'm defending this, but I'm also allowing this rook to come to d1 to start doubling up on the d file and fight against his double rook. So that was my idea here. My opponent calmly just steps into the pocket and starts hitting my knight. Now, if my bishop moves, he takes my knight. And if my knight moves, he takes my rook. So that was a pretty good move, I thought. I go rook d1 here, and now he piles up on this diagonal. Queen f5. It's not the most accurate move, but it's pretty interesting. He's really trying to come in here and do some damage, and he has a lot of pieces to support that. So he's really making me play sharp here. So in this position, I played knight e1. That's pretty much forced. I have to play knight e1. That's a saving grace move, and that just puts an extra defender here on c2, which I need to defend. So when I played this, he was a little deflated. I feel like he missed that move. It's a really easy move to miss, these backward knight moves, but that was really my saving grace move right there. Okay, so now my opponent takes on h3. And now we're going to come into the theme of this game that I want to talk about, and that's material versus activity. So you'll see he's going to take another pawn here, and then we're really going to get into the idea of what's more valuable, how to evaluate that in chess. Okay, so first I kick out his knight, because his knight's very dangerous. Now his knight's no longer occupying this square, and I don't have to worry about all these threats. So that was first order of business. Now, second order of business is this bishop is on a good, strong, light diagonal. I want to challenge that, so I did so. So I challenge his bishop. He takes, I take back. So I got rid of his knight. His knight's back here. I actually literally got rid of his bishop. I traded it. And now my rook is hitting his queen, so I'm getting a tempo. He comes back to queen f5. So now I just put my knight on c2. He brings his knight back. He's rerouting his knight, trying to get his knight back into the game. I play rook g3, and now he takes another pawn. So he took the pawn on f2, but my point was I'm just going to double the rooks on the g file, and that's a very dangerous attack. Now, black is objectively better here. Black is winning. It's as you can see, that's why I left the bar on. It's minus 1.27 for black. So black is basically like up a pawn in evaluation. He's up 2 pawns in the actual game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, however, I have this active G file with my rooks. So he brings his knight into the game, and now I attack his... I played, in this position, the other rook to G2. He moves his queen away, and that gives me a chance to bring my knight into the game with tempo at some point. He comes back here. I throw in this move, rook g2. He plays queen f1 check. I go into the pocket where I want to be anyway. I don't want to be on this back rank. He plays g6, defending this. Not that I think he needed to so much because his knight's defending it, but maybe he was scared that I might try to kick out his knight and then take on g7. Okay, so here I played knight e3, attacking his queen. And now when his queen comes here, it looks like his queen is trapped, but he has one move, and that's h1, and he found it, of course. And now I go to hit the knight. Now we're 0-0. This game is completely even, but I'm down 2 pawns. So why is that, and why did I go into a position where I happily obliged, allowing my opponent to take a couple of pawns to get this level of activity? Now, well, I evaluate piece activity first and foremost above pretty much anything else when I'm evaluating a position. Unless it's like a heavy material deficit, I always am going to go with activity. Because at the very least, activity, having more activity than your opponent, will in return give you more material. You will get more material back. It's like an investment. So now, as you can see, I'm hitting the knight. I'm hitting f6. I have 2 rooks here. I can always put my rook, one of these rooks on the h file at some point. This is a very good position. I could bring my knight in here because he can't take because of the pin. I have an excellent position, and I can plan to even like triple on the g file if I want with my queen. I have a lot of things going on here. So even though it's equal, my opponent really has to play very, very good defensive moves here to stay in the game. And he didn't. So here he plays f5, attacking my rook, and it allows me to just actually take that pawn, and he cannot take because he's pinned in this position. So now he just dropped a pawn. So now he's only up 1 pawn of material, and I still have all this activity. And he lost that very important pawn that was essential to defending his king side. Also, let's not forget now, with that pawn being moved, queen g7 is mate if this knight is not there. So if his knight moves away because of the pawn, we have immediate checkmate. Not to mention, also, now my knight's hitting the h4 square, so my rook can come to h4 with tempo and join on the attack on the h file. Okay, so my opponent took back, and I played, in fact, rook h4, and now the idea is if my opponent just moves his queen away somewhere, I have checkmate, so he can't do that. So in this position, my opponent played the only move he can do, which is to take the rook, and so he had to sack his queen, and now the game is virtually over. I just brought my knight back, swung my queen into f6, and the computer announces mate in 3. I mated him a few moves later. I don't have it actually on the score sheet because we were blitzing out the moves right now. But as you can see, this game is lost at this point. Well, there you have it. There was the game. The biggest takeaway I want you guys to take away is the importance of activity in chess. I'm not saying always put it at the forefront, always put it at the top of the the hierarchy of chess principles when you're evaluating a chess position. I'm just saying really keep it in mind because most players, a lot of players, even some advanced players, do not truly appreciate or underestimate the power of piece activity. So always keep piece activity in mind when you're evaluating your chess positions and playing your games, especially when you're defending. It's always good to go on a counterattack as opposed to just passively defending until you get crushed. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. If you like, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you next time. Go play some chess.